Hare Krišna. Hare Krišna. Hare Krišna, Hare Krišna. Hare Krišna. Namamishwaram Satchidanandarupam Lasat kundalam gokule vrajamanam Yashoda biyolukaladavamanam Paramrishta atyanta todrutya gopyam Rudanta muhurnetra yugmam vrijantam Karamboja yugmena satankanetram Muhushvasakam patrirekam kakanta Stita grevam damodaram bhaktibadham Iti driksvalila birananda kunde Svagosham nimajantam akhyapayantam Shitagyeshu bhaktarjitatvam Puna prematastam shatavriti vande Varam deva moksham na mokshavadim va Nachanyam vrineham vareshadapiha Idam teva purnata gopala balam Sada me manasya virashtam kimanya Idam te mukam bojam atyantanilai Vritam kuntalaik snigdaraktas chagopyam Chumbitam bimba rakta darame Manasya virastamalam lakshalava Namo Deva Damodarananta Vishnu Prasida Prabho Dukha Jalabdi Magnam Kripa Dristi Vrishtyati Dinam Batano Griha Neshama Magya Medyakshi Drishya Kuverat Mahajovadha Murtyaiva Yadva Tvaya Mochito Bhaktir Bhajo Krito Cha Tatha Prema Bhaktim Svakame Prayacha Namokshe Graho Mesti Damodareha Namaste stu damne spuradipti damne Tvadiyo darayatha vishvasya damne Namo radhikaya tvadiya priyaya Namo nanta lilaya devaya tubhyam Namamishvaram Sachitanandarupam Lasat Kundalam Gokule Vrajamanam Yashoda Biyolukala Davamanam Paramristam Matyanta Todrutya Gopyam Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jayo Radha Damodara, Radha Damodara, Radha Damodara, Shri Radhe. Jayo Radha Damodara, Radha Damodara, Radha Damodara, Shri Radhe. Jayo Radha Damodara Radha Damodara Radha Damodara Shri Radhe. Hare Krišna, Hare Krišna, Krišna Krišna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Srila Prabhupada. Jai Jai Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Shri Shri Radha Damodara Ki.
Krishna Prithaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Kauravani Pracharine Nirvisesa Shunyavadi Paskatya desatarine. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadara Srivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadara Srivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahansa Brahmadakacharya Asadhara Sadhu Sri Shriman His Divine Grace Lacey Bhaktivedanta Swaraj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Gaur Premanande Haribo Slava Zabrani Bhakta Slava Shri Guru Ishi Gaurangi Om Agana Timirandasya Gananjana Salakaya Chaksur Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavam Scha Shri Rupam Sagridatam Sahagana Raganatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sabadutam Vrijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Visakans Vitamscha Hey Krishna Karna Sindhu Dinabando Dagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanshena Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Prishubhanu Sudha Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakapa Tribhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patidanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Pranityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter 3, Karma Yoga, text number 40. Indriyani mano buddhira asyadishtanam uchate etaravi mohayadyesha yanamaritya dehinam Indriyani mano buddhira asyadishtanam uchate etaravi mohayadyesha yanamaritya dehinam. Indriyani mano buddhir asyadishtanam uchate etaravi mohayadyesha yanamaritya dehinam. Ladies, Indriyani mano buddhir Asyadishtanam uchate. Etar vimohadyatesha. Yanamaritya dehinam. Indriyani. The senses. Manaha. The mind. Buddhi. The intelligence. Asya. Of this lust. Adhishtanam. Sitting place. Uchate is called. Etai by all these. Vimohiti bewilders. Esha this lust. Yanam knowledge. Avritya covering. Dehinam of the embodied. Translation purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. The senses, the mind, and the intelligence are the sitting places of this lust. Through them, lust covers the real knowledge of the living entity and bewilders him. Please repeat. The senses, the mind, and the intelligence are the sitting places of this lust. Through them, lust covers the real knowledge of the living entity and bewilders him. Purport. The enemy has captured different strategic positions in the body of the conditioned soul, and therefore the Lord Krishna is giving hints of those places, so that one who wants to conquer the enemy may know where he can be found. The mind is the center of all the activities of the senses. And thus, when we hear about sense objects, the mind generally becomes a reservoir of all ideas of sense gratification. And as a result, the mind and the senses become repositories of lust. Next, the intelligence department becomes the capital of such lustful propensities. Intelligence is the immediate next-door neighbor of the spirit soul. Lust, the intelligence, influences the spirit soul to acquire the false ego and identify itself with matter, and thus with the mind and the senses. The spirit soul becomes addicted to enjoying the material senses and mistakes this as true happiness. This false identification of the spirit soul is very nicely explained in the Srimad Bhagavatam 10:84-13. Yasyatma buddhi kunupe triptaruke swadi kalataradi shubham ijadi yatirta buddhi kale swakari chit ganeshvabhajeshu saeva gokara. A human being who identifies this body made of three elements with his self, who considers the byproducts of the body to be his kinsman, considers the land of birth worshipable, and who goes into the place of pilgrimage simply to take a bath rather than meet with men of transcendental knowledge, there is can be considered like an ass or a cow. Indriyani mano buddhir asyadishtanam uchate etara vimohadyatesha gyanam avritya dehinam. The senses, the mind, and the intelligence are the sitting places of this lust. Through them, lust covers the real knowledge of the living entity and bewilders him. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutaya Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namane Namaste Sarasvatunde Ve Gauravani Pacharane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paskatyade Satarane. As the analogy was given, has been given many times, just like a man is walking down the street and he sees an attractive woman, and immediately the mind and senses say, she's the one. And then the intelligence says, wait a second. She has a man next to her, and she has a dot on her forehead. You read in some ancient book that she might be married. But don't worry about it, because that's old-fashioned. That was from 5,000 years ago, that book. Nowadays, the philosophy is, if it feels good, then you do it. That's the highest truth. So then the soul has to figure out, what does he want to do? Does he want to do something to gratify his senses and the mind, which are demanding that she's the one? Or should he use his intelligence and act differently? Because the intelligence has also pointed out that she might be married, and there is another set of rules and regulations. So, if the soul decides that it's going to use its intelligence in order to feel good, then the soul tells the intelligence, think of a plan how to meet her. So then intelligence says, write her a letter. Tell her she's the most beautiful person you've seen. And put in small letters, in the last 2 weeks. Tell her you're madly in love with her, that she should meet you in such and such place and such time, and you'll give her the sun, you'll give her the moon, and if she's very nice to you, you'll put in an extra few stars. But don't sign the letter, because the man next to her, he's twice as big as you are. So that's misuse of our intelligence. In other words, we can use our intelligence to try to figure out how we can gratify our senses, namely eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. Because after all, there are only a few senses we can actually gratify, and it always winds up the same thing: eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. Much like an ant also has intelligence. But the intelligence is not to come to the Bhagavatam class or the Bhagavad Gita class and hear philosophy, how the ant is going to control his mind and senses. His intelligence is simply directed towards to finding sugar, so he can get intoxicated. Similarly, every animal has intelligence, but that intelligence is only directed towards eating, sleeping, mating, defending, generally in a much more regulated way than human beings are. So if a human being is only interested in using his intelligence, how to eat, sleep, mate, and defend, then basically speaking, he's on the same level as the animals are. The intelligence is supposed to be how we can utilize it in order to come out of our materialistic conceptions of life and realize that we're actually eternal. And that all this energy and everything here is meant for Krishna's service. And by doing so, then we become liberated from all material misconceptions, all material problems. Just by utilizing Krishna's energies in his service, then we cease to be chastised by the illusory energy, which bewilders us. Therefore, our whole philosophy is somehow or another to appreciate that the material world didn't come about by accident, nor do we come into these bodies by accident, that there is a controller behind the material world, and he's the most attractive person. And if we utilize this material energy properly, whatever is within our influence, then we can meet that all attractive, loving, affectionate personality, Krishna. And if we decide that we want to take Krishna's place and pretend that we are Krishna, which is the material world, pretending that we have some control over the material energy and we have some capacity to enjoy it, and let's do it together. Romeo and Juliet. As I always say, Romeo and Juliet, Tarzan and Jane, Mickey Mouse and Minnie Mouse. It's the same thing. All in the name of love. about love in the material world is simply the opportunity to gratify our senses. I love you as long as you can gratify my senses, and you love me as long as I can gratify your senses, even if it's in a subtle way. I tell you how beautiful you are, and you tell me how powerful and handsome I am, and we have a deal. And when you tell me what I'm really like, and I tell you what I think you're really like, then the deal's off. And let's find someone else to pretend with. So here it says, or Krishna will tell us, because it's, what are we supposed to do? He says, Tasmat tvam indriyanyado niyamya bharatarshava papmanam prajahiyenam jnana viganam nashanam. Therefore, in the beginning, very beginning, O Arjuna, regulate the senses, control the senses by regulating, and therefore slay this destroyer of knowledge and self-realization. Indriyani paranyahur, indriyavik paramanak, manasastu bude budir, yo bude putastu saha. That the working senses is superior to dull matter, mind is higher than the senses, intelligence is higher than the mind, and he, the soul, is even higher than the intelligence. In other words, when the soul utilizes his intelligence to hear about Krishna, to ultimately to repeat, serve Krishna, follow the instructions, and ultimately to remember Krishna, then the result is that one experiences the happiness and ultimately pure love that comes from becoming conscious of Krishna. After all, the personality who's created this world, who's in everyone's heart, giving everyone direction, is Bhagavan, the source of unlimited beauty and strength and knowledge and fame, renunciation. That he's the source of everything, and therefore he's also the source of all unlimited attractiveness. And we can get to experience Krishna even when in our conditioned state by following the regular principles and chanting Hare Krishna, trying to follow the process of serving Krishna. Especially Krishna wants everyone to go back to the spiritual world. He doesn't enjoy watching the soul suffering here and wasting their time, trying to find happiness in a dukhalayam shasvatam, a temporary place full of misery. That's what's called bewilderment. We actually believe, although we've been trying steadily and sincerely since time immemorial to squeeze some happiness out of the material world, and it's always been a failure. And especially in Kali Yuga, because people's attempts are so degraded to gratify their senses in any way possible. Therefore, instead of finding happiness, they're finding more and more misery in material existence. But if one can regulate the senses, hear about Krishna, and use one's intelligence to fix the mind upon Krishna, then the result one can experience a higher and higher taste in Krishna consciousness. The simple pastimes of Krishna, it's not that Krishna has, just like tomorrow's Govardhan Puj, that Krishna is so out of it, that he's so far behind the time that, the coward men in Vrindavan, they're still driving carts pulled by oxen, by bulls. There's no factory in the spiritual world. They don't even have, there's milk. They even drink milk there. Could you imagine that, how backward they are? Could you imagine what their cholesterol level is? They eat cheese, they have yogurt, they have 3 meals a day. And they don't even have a job, no education. They didn't even graduate from kindergarten. And they've been at it eternally, no progress whatsoever. Could you imagine going there and there's no Facebook? Oh my God. What do you do when there's no Facebook? There's no Facebook. There's no internet. They don't even have a car. They don't even have a radio. They don't even have computers there. Could you imagine that? They're not even up to the level of having a sewing machine. They got to sew everything by hand. And all they do is dance and chant and sing and play games. They're so irresponsible. They're living in a fairy tale. So that's what people are thinking, oh, it's so primitive. All they do is love each other. Could you imagine that? They're simply in love with everyone. No discrimination. And if you ask them something, they like the Hare Krishnas here, they just say Hare Krishna all the time. So that's our choice. Either we can stay here, learn how to be envious and hate each other, advance in having our iPhones so we can, or our computers, we can find out all the misery that people are experiencing in all parts of the world and feel good about it. At least I'm not as miserable as they are. I may be miserable, but I'm not as miserable as they are. So if I'm less miserable than they are, I must be happy. Not only that, but all these people are dying, but I'm still alive. So I'm good because I'm alive. I'm special. All these other people, they're not special because they all died. They were better than me in so many different ways, but they disappeared. So now I'm advancing up the ranks because all my competitors are dying. But I'm never going to die because I do my exercises every day. I take my vitamin pill. So I'm all right. So this is called bewilderment. Everyone is planning to somehow or another be somehow or another important in the material world by some means or another, to try to enjoy and try to squeeze out as many years as possible, just so that we can find out how advanced society is going to become technologically. All the wonders of electricity or whatever else they're planning. So this is called bewilderment. What we have is consciousness. The soul has nothing else but consciousness. And the question is, what he's going to become conscious of? Do we really want to see how the society is evolving? Is it actually becoming, by people taking out their smartphone, opening up their smartphone and reading things and becoming stupider and stupider? The phones are becoming smarter and smarter, and the people are becoming more and more foolish. They sit there and they just kill things all, play these games all the time. And they think they're making advancement. Go from hearing the news, their heroes are people who are drunkards, sex mongers, meat eaters, gamblers. These are the people that are going to save them. As one devotee Balavanta Prabhu was saying, he was running for mayor of Atlanta. And when he got up to give his speech, he said, here's the mayor, the current mayor, he's running for the mayor, and he's smoking a cigarette. And he's going to protect you. He can't even protect himself. Everyone knows if you smoke cigarettes, you'll probably get lung cancer or some other deadly disease. And yet he's smoking right in front of us. So he can't even protect himself. How is he going to protect us? Because people are so bewildered, they don't realize it. That this person, he can't even control his senses enough to do something, to avoid doing something which is detrimental to his own health, and yet he's claiming he's going to save us. So who are the leaders in society who are going to save us? Who are those who are not involved in sinful activities, following their senses? They're not here to serve anyone. They're here just to, they're being impelled by their senses to do all kinds of things that are not good for themselves nor good for anyone else. And these are the people we have hope they're going to save us. Therefore, the clue is we have to follow the process by which we actually become conscious of Krishna, and when we become conscious of Krishna, the little spark ourselves can go back into the fire of Krishna consciousness. And when we're in the fire of Krishna consciousness, then there's no more material problems, because we won't think we're this body. We won't think we're this mind. Our intelligence will become clearer, and we'll see everything as it actually is. And everything as it is actually quite beautiful, because everything is an expansion of Krishna. And therefore everything has some of Krishna's beautiful qualities. So instead of thinking that I'm here to find out how wonderful I am, and therefore trying to get everyone else to love my body, which is not even me, then instead of that, to find out how wonderful Krishna is, and how wonderful everyone and everything is when it's engaged in Krishna's service. How all these little sparks becomes, when they're engaged in Krishna's service, they become little fires, and they illuminate everything, make everything beautiful. And when they're engaged in simply trying to gratify their senses, this fire of the consciousness of the soul gets dimmer and dimmer and dimmer, and everything goes dark after some time. And that's called Kali Yuga. So even in Kali Yuga, by utilizing the senses, the mind, and the intelligence in Krishna's service, everything can become bright and wonderful and beautiful, like in the spiritual world. Or if it's not, then it'll simply get darker and darker and darker. No matter how much these so-called politicians and these so-called philanthropists, sociologists, educationalists, no matter how much they call progress, but actually there's, the soul is simply, the light of the soul is, of the souls are simply getting dimmer and dimmer and dimmer, and they're becoming more or less very unhappy and very miserable and bewildered. So I'll stop there. Thank you. Any questions or comments? Anyhow, tomorrow, Giri Govardhan, yes. Giriraj will lift Govardhan Hill. So we can take, of course I don't think we're going to take shelter on the Govardhan Hill, because it won't rain inside the temple, but this is after the rain. And then he'll give us his mercy in the form of prasadam. Yes.
Hare Krishna. Just about the last phrase of this last part of the purport, Srila Prabhupada says something that if you don't take advantage of a holy place, then you're like a cow, and by associating with the devotees there.
Yeah.
So how can we take proper advantage of this Kartik month?
Well, I guess we should take prasadam at least. How to take, well, what we're doing, the whole idea is to, in the Bhagavatam, it always attracts, there's always something special at the end of every chapter. You'll defeat your enemies, you'll become rich and famous, if you read this chapter of the Bhagavatam. Because as conditioned souls, we always think there has to be something special, and then I do it. Just like now we have so many extra devotees coming to the temple, because it's Kartik, and we think we're going to get some extra credit. We will, because if we're expecting to get extra credit, then we'll get extra credit. And if we think I'll go to the temple, it's the same old temple, I'll get the same old thing as I always do, then we'll get the same old thing we're always going to get. So when we expect something good is going to happen, then it will happen, especially in relation to Krishna. If we're anticipating, well, this is wonderful, it's a wonderful month, I'm going to get some extra credit, so let me go to the temple. So we're coming to the temple, we're chanting Hare Krishna, we're hearing about Krishna, we're offering lamps to Krishna, we're doing... So it is, just by doing that, we're getting something special. Because we expect something special, and Krishna will give us something special. Now, the month after, if we came with the same enthusiasm or more, Krishna would also reciprocate. It's not that Krishna says, oh, look at this devotee. He's coming to the temple. He's so enthusiastic. He's doing so much service. Unfortunately for him, it's not Kartik. So he doesn't get very much credit. I guess he'll have to wait till next year. No, at any moment, if we surrender to Krishna, he'll reward us. But the anticipation, the fact that just like if you go to Vrindavan, everywhere you look, everywhere you go, there's a sign of Radharani, Radhe, or there's a place where Krishna, Raman Reti, Krishna and Balaram used to play here. This is Govardhan Hill where Krishna lifted. So it's hard to forget Krishna in Vrindavan. If one wants to, you can certainly forget Krishna wherever you want to go. Then you won't be in Vrindavan, of course. You'll be, it says there's a thin layer over Vrindavan of illusion. So there are many people in Vrindavan. They're completely an illusion. But others who go there, if they're sincere, then it's an opportunity. I mean, if you walk down the street here in Ljubljana, which is a relatively nice city, how many times will you hear Radhe? How many people are shouting Radhe? When you go to the park, is there any pastimes of Krishna in the park here? Are there kalpavriksha trees here in the Tivoli Park? No, but if we go to Vrindavan, everywhere you look, there's kalpavriksha trees, there's kandambak trees, there's little kind of like, not big forests, but there's places, Bahulavan, Madhuvan, so many different places where Krishna had his pastimes. And therefore it's very easy, relatively, to become Krishna conscious there. So similarly in Kartik, so many more devotees gather and they chant Hare Krishna together, they offer lamps, they praise Damodar, remember his pastimes. So it's very auspicious. Somehow the Krishna, the Super Soul has brought us here because it's Kartik. So but it's not auspicious unless we perform the activities of devotional service. For the common people, it's not an auspicious month. Ask the people in Palestine if things have improved in Kartik for them. I don't think so. No, if they chanted Hare Krishna, it would, but I don't think they're going to chant Hare Krishna right now. But we are, so we're very fortunate. Anything else? Wala, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Premanande. Kartik Rat ki jai, Giri Govardhan ki jai.
Jeden.